We are speculating about Horus Heresy 3.0. I'm very excited about this one, and I'm really looking forward to learning about vehicles in this edition. I think that's what's going to be the big make or break situation on this game. I do think we're going to still see armor value. I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic, but with now we have a damage statistic on weapons. What kind of turn is this going to take? This is going to be really interesting to see. So, I wanted to talk about the vehicle damage table, vehicle damage in general. I had an idea for vehicle damage table for it to be a bit different than we have it now. And I'm sure now that this has been announced that we will see it be different. Different in a way I was hoping for, but let me tell you about what I was thinking, okay? So I was thinking with the way it is in 2.0, we have 1, 2, and 3 on the vehicle damage table being vehicle shaken, which means it can only snap fire. 4 is vehicle stunned, which means it can't move and it can only snap fire. A 5 was a weapon destroyed, and a 6 was an immobilized, and a 7+ was a vehicle explodes. And of course, you had to have modifiers on the table in order to be able to reach that 7, because on a 6-sided dice, you can't get to 7. So, you needed AP1 for that +2 bonus, or you needed AP2 for that +1 bonus. I can't remember if there's any other bonuses. I know Open Top used to be +1. I think Destroyer used to be +1, but I don't think it is anymore. But Destroyer has its own other thing going on. So yeah, you would roll your weapon's strength plus a d6, and if it equaled the armor value, you glanced, and if it exceeded the armor value, you penetrated. Both cases, the vehicle loses a hull point, but in a penetrating hit, you also roll on the damage table. So the thing I was thinking of changing it to, because I was tired of AP2 being so useful, and I wanted to start seeing other weapons being useful. Things like the battle cannon, or demolisher cannon, or auto cannons. Things like that. I was thinking, change the vehicle damage table. First of all, make it so AP1 only gives +1 on the damage table. AP2 doesn't give any bonus. But the damage table changes so that you have 1 is nothing, it's just the whole point damage as normal. 2 is shaken, 3 is stunned, 4 is weapon destroyed, 5 is immobilized, and 6 is not explodes, but chain reaction. A 6 is a chain reaction, 6 or more. Chain reaction is score another penetrating hit. Simple. So you roll again on the table. You score that extra hull point, you roll again on the table. That way, if you were to get multiple 6s in a row, you'd have a spectacular explosion on your hands. If the last hull point is removed as a result of the chain reaction roll, the vehicle would explode. That was my idea. I think that would be cool. I think you'd probably have to up the hull points on some vehicles a little bit in order to make that work. But it would kind of stop that one-shotting, exploding a vehicle that doesn't really feel good. It would make things like crack missiles and autocannons actually be able to get chain reaction and do that extra damage. And it would make you not have to rely on AP2 as much in that way. It could make the other weapons a little more useful. But again, I do think you'd have to increase the hull points a little bit if you were to do that. Let me know if you think that's a cool idea or not. But now that we see there's a damage statistic, that could change some stuff here. What are they going to do? Maybe what will happen, and my friend and I were talking about this today, is if you score a glance, you do a still roll on the damage table, but you do like a subtraction, like of 2 maybe? It used to be that way, I think, in 5th edition, because 5 and 6 were a destroyed result. 5 was wrecked, 6 was explode. But if you glanced, you had to -2, so you could never get to that explode result or wrecked result. Maybe you only make the hull points actually be lost on a certain roll on the damage table. But then when you have a higher damage weapon, it increases your roll. Maybe the vehicle damage table is bigger now. You know what I mean? Maybe it's maybe it's on like a 2d6 spectrum or something like that. Or maybe it's a d6, but it goes all the way from 1 to 10 or something. I don't know. You could really do anything, but maybe the damage characteristic increases your roll on the damage table. So you would have to make it so that that explodes results more like an 8 or 9, because from what I'm seeing on this Saturnine Disruption Fist, it's 3 damage. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the 3 damage is just, okay, it does 3 hull points. But then you'd have to upgrade the vehicles to have a huge amount of hull points. You'd end up just going to what they're doing in 40k right now, where vehicles have a dozen wounds, basically. So I don't know. What would your system be? How would you make damage work with the armor value rules and armor penetration and the damage table? What does that look like? It's an interesting discussion. I really hope we get to see what they're planning soon, because this one is very tense for a lot of fans of Horus Heresy.